Hello and welcome. My name is Mary Cummins and today I'm going to be reading from The Devil's Toolkit. This chapter is entitled Pliers of Manipulation. I'm not doing the chapters in any particular order. I will read the chapter first and then react to it. I'll start with a question. How do we manipulate each other? H.G. Tudor and his kind show how it happens in intimate relationships, and that he does it on purpose to maintain chaos. Tudor is an example of a narcissist without a conscience, and I will contrast this with how an empath behaves, someone who is a successful television and radio journalist and a war correspondent, Lara Logan, who tells the truth and lives by principles. Using archetypes, I will explain how people who function from negative child archetypes that have been set up in early childhood behave, and how the narcissist is able to manipulate good people to comply with their demands. Ultimately, we live in a world where the Nephilim and the Nophilim have set up a consensual reality that creates the prison planet that we now live in. In politics, we are either ruled by one or the other. The Nephilim are the Satanists, and the Nophilim are the Luciferians. These two groups despise each other and only come together to fight the common people who have a tie to God. The Pliers of Manipulation. The pliers of manipulation are not a particularly elegant tool. They are used against a stubborn opponent. We use the pliers to push and pull, to yank and wrench until we achieve what we want. We do not like to be challenged or resisted. We are entitled to have our way. It has always been the case, for as long as we are able to remember, that we do what we want, when we want, and in a manner that suits us and nobody else. Should somebody try to prevent us from doing what we want, we regard that as offensive. It is a challenge to our rightful superiority, which should be recognized and admired by anybody we come into contact with straight away. If we decide we want to do something, then it must happen, otherwise we feel challenged and criticized. This criticism will invariably ignite our fury, as I have described in the book Fury. And this is likely to lead to an explosive eruption. This is especially useful when we have had to take out the pliers of manipulation. The explosive fury lends us additional strength to allow us to really go to town on the problem that is proving to be an obstacle to our aims. We may use other tools at first in order to achieve what we want. Just like any workman, certain tools are better suited to particular jobs. And we are no different in that regard. We may apply one tool first of all, in the hope that it will work in a subtle and insidious manner. But if it is not having the desired effect, then we will have to turn to something which is somewhat more direct. The pliers are certainly that. Take, for example, a situation whereby we wish to attend a football match with our friends, and you take the view that we have attended plenty of matches recently. There has been a succession of league games along with a cup run, and as a consequence you are, and then in brackets, wrongly, of the opinion that we should stay at home with you instead. This challenge to our stated intention is not welcome. You are standing firm and have gone so far as to hide our season ticket. Our friends are waiting outside in the car to drive to the game, and we cannot find the ticket. Have you seen my ticket? I ask. I have told you, you are not going to the game today. You can stay at home and help me. There is a whole list of things we need to do, and I'm sick of doing it on my own. You protest. And I have already told you that I am going. No, you're not. Yes, I am. I can see what you're trying to do, You're trying to make me look small in front of my friends, so I feel stupid. Well, that won't work. No, I am not. I want you to help me. I can't do that. I'm going to the game. No, you're not. You cannot if you do not have the season ticket. Do you know where it is? Have you hidden it? I may have done. Go and get it right now. My friends are waiting. No, you are not going. I can see one of my friends has exited the car and is wandering up to the house to find out what is going on. All of my friends regard me as a great guy, and of course, why not? It is true. And I do not want to do anything that might change that opinion. I might ordinarily have reached for the hammer of intimidation and begun to bludgeon you, so you yield to the location of the season ticket. Unfortunately, with my friends in the locality, that is not going to be an option. It is time for the Pliers. Look, this is an important game. It is against our derby rivals. So what? Well, if I don't go, I will have the mickey taken by the lads at work. Oh, so you're more bothered about what they think than your wife? Lord, no. But I said I would meet a few of them after the game for a drink. If we have won, they have agreed to cover me next Friday. If they know I have not been at the game, they won't agree to cover my meeting for me. This is a lie. But I need to go to this game. Why? Because I want to. So what if they have? Well, it was going to be a surprise, but I'm going to have to tell you now. Tell me what, you ask. I can tell the pliers are starting to work as they move from side to side, as they pull you from your position of intransigence. Your hands come off your hips and your tone has altered. You were looking at me with expectancy rather than annoyance. Well, I had something special planned. It was a thank you. I know there have been a lot of games, but I know you know how much I love going. After all, I was going to the football way before we got together. Yes, I know that. And usually I would not mind. It is just that there are things to do, and I want to spend time with you as well. The pliers continue their work as your aggression has vanished, and you are explaining yourself more reasonably, and into the bargain, making me feel wanted. Okay, I'm not getting as much fuel as I might from a full-blown argument, but I have that in hand. I realize that, my love, and that was why I have arranged for us to go away next weekend. I need to be at the game, have us win, and see the lads afterwards, so I secure their agreement to cover that meeting for me. Going away? Really? Where? Ah, I'm not spoiling all the surprise, I smile, mirroring your smile toward me. Is it somewhere good? Of course, you will love it. But I need to get to this game. It is a fantastic place, something I know you will really enjoy. It took me an age to find it, and we need to travel to reach it, hence the need for Friday to be taken care of. My friend is tapping on the window and gesticulating as if to ask, what is going on? I motion to him that I will be a couple of minutes. Well, all right. Seeing as you have done this, I wish you had said something earlier. I feel bad for hiding it. You had better go and roar on your team and make sure they win. I will go and get your ticket. With a final pull, I have manipulated you into doing what I want, namely, giving me the ticket, so I can go to the game. You give me a big kiss in front of my friends. As I clamber into the car, one remarks, "Somebody is popular. I don't know how you get away with it, mate. All these matches. If I went to as many as you, my missus would go mental." She loves me. What can I say? I smile, drinking up the admiration of my inner circle of friends as I wave goodbye to you. The pliers of manipulation have done the job, and I am on my way. I did not even have to wrench you about with them too hard. Sometimes more force needs to be used with the pliers in order to manipulate you into doing what we want or giving us something. Consider a situation where I am trying to convince you to engage in a threesome with me and a drunken but willing mutual friend. You are resistant to the idea as the friend has gone to the bathroom to get changed in readiness. "I'm not doing it," you protest. "Come on, you used to be adventurous about sex. What has happened to you? You've not turned frigid on me, have you?" "No, of course not. It is only a bit of fun. I am doing this as much for you as I am for me." Really? I think you are going to get more out of this than me. How do you know until you have tried it with her? She is your friend. It's not like I have hired a whore or got a stranger off the street. I know. It just feels weird. I don't know why you got up to similar when you were at college, unless of course those stories were made up. No, they were true. That was back then, when I was young, and experimenting. Well, this is being a bit older and doing some more experimentation, but this time with me. Come on, she is so up for it. You don't want her thinking that you're a stiff, do you? No, you protest. I just don't feel as hot as her. Is that what it is? Believe me, you are far hotter than her. You really think so? Hell yeah. Come on, you will love it. You appear thoughtful. I am working away on you with these pliers, moving you back and forth, wriggling you free from your position of resistance. I don't know, it just feels weird. I sigh in frustration, and he literally spells sigh with S-I-G-N. I sign in frustration. It will feel even weirder if I put those videos of you on the internet. What? You wouldn't. I would. You weren't shy in those videos. I was off my face. I did not know what was going on. You say. Oh, you knew what you were doing. Believe me, I have watched those videos many times. Please don't put them out there. That's not fair. It is not fair getting me all ready for a threesome and then backing out. That is what is not fair. I say in a low, menacing tone. Promise me you won't upload those videos. Those are private. I won't have to if you join in. Come on, hurry up. She will be back in a minute. Only if you agree not to do anything with those videos. I promise. Now come on. Go and strip off and jump into bed whilst I go and get her. This is going to be fun. And I know you will love it. Oh, all right. But this is the only time I am doing this, and afterwards I want those videos deleted. Whatever you say, babe. Whatever you say. You go and get ready, and I will tell Angie we are waiting for her. You nod and make your way through to the bedroom. As I smile, having wrenched you free of your stubbornness and got my way once again. Once out of sight, I reach for the phone and start the video camera, ready for some covert filming of the threesome we are about to have. Well, I need that for when I use the pliers on another occasion. The pliers will not work if I cannot gain some purchase and some leverage. Begin with my reaction to the pliers of manipulation. As we work through the book, The Devil's Toolkit by H.G. Tudor, what becomes evident is that everything that happens with the individual couple is mirrored in society as a whole. What we'll get from this is an understanding of why the world is almost incomprehensible to those of us who are empaths. It is not our world. We are living in a narcissistic matrix of control and imprisonment. And like the individual in a relationship with these ones, we also wonder how we got here as a society. H.G. Tudor starts out this chapter by letting us know how he uses the pliers of manipulation in his intimate relationships. He says he will, quote, push and pull, to yank and wrench until we achieve what we want, we do what we want, when we want, and in a manner that suits us and nobody else, end of quote. What you begin to pick up here is that this is a tyrannical master-slave scenario where there is negative intimacy. H.G. Tudor is the master and is also slave to his empathic or sympathetic intimate partner. Tudor and his kind can never admit that to themselves, yet it does explain their anger and hatred. As we move through these horrors that he is describing, we begin to see that what they create is a perversion of the Christ potential. He goes on to describe that he will go ahead with his plans no matter what objections his intimate partner, in this case his wife, has. Her opposition is not important. He can depend on his pliers to manipulate until he gets his way, no matter how much it is opposed. Depending on the situation, it can trigger his wrath and violent outrage, or he controls and manipulates instead, as he described when he wanted to go to the football match yet again. He tells her that he made plans for a special getaway the following weekend for the two of them, which is an outright lie. If they don't win, then he is off the hook, and if they do win, then he can act as if one of these guys let him down. When he acknowledges that he is willing to lie, cheat, and abuse to get his way, we see the unloved boy-child archetype. This unloved boy-child represents Antichrist. In H.G. Tudor's book, Fury, he talks extensively about a constant burning rage under the surface. He always focuses on what is wrong and how the world around him judges him without cause. He describes waking up and feeling this fury about whoever is laying next to him, because they will wake up with some judgment of him and how wrong and unfair that is. He describes a restlessness when he is at home, unable to sit still, or to watch a program to the end and flipping through the channels. One of his previous girlfriends said, quote, "You seem to pad around the house all the time, unable to relax, as if you were waiting to spring on someone. You're like a caged beast," end of quote. He confirmed that it was an apt description and that he had a right to be furious because he wasn't getting the admiration and praise that he absolutely deserves, and because of pain from his narcissistic wound. He describes that he and his kind are like volcanoes. Quote, We have a mass of searing hot lava inside of us and a very brittle crust that is just keeping this torrent of lava in check. Your criticism will penetrate this crust in an instant, and thus the pressurized lava will erupt in a devastating display and shower you with the superheated lava." End of quote. He goes on to say that you and your kind are the cause of this rage. This furious rage is directed at the empath, and he will build you up so that he will have the satisfaction of tearing you down. Now we will describe an empath who is aligned with the light. It's been years since I listened to 60 Minutes on CBS News. Back then, one of my favorite reporters was Lara Logan. She was a correspondent for CBS News from 2002 to 2018. She was passionate in her reporting and radiated light, credibility, and truth. She was someone who was in earnest about her stories. She had influence that only a light bearer can have. This positive influence is missing from the narcissist, sociopath, and psychopath. Yet they too have influence and come across as magnetic. They have an easy flow about them because of their certainty about the news they are presenting. Their superior attitude of, quote-unquote, "I belong here," comes across and draws people in. So one has earnestness and the other has magnetism, and both have influence. When you see Lara Logan's light, you can imagine that the upper level fallen ones, representing, quote-unquote, the seed of the wicked, would be gunning for her. In 2011, she suffered a violent sexual assault. She was reporting from Cairo when a mob of hundreds brutally attacked her. She was covering the Arab Spring demonstrations from Egypt's Tahrir Square. She describes her horrific rape ordeal in various interviews, and that they used sticks and other instruments to violate her. And here's a quote. "It was so hard to breathe. There was so much pressure on my rib cage. They tried to rip off my limbs. I went down and I couldn't get up. It was a mad frenzy for a piece of me. They tried to scalp me with their hands, ripping out clumps of my hair." End of quote. Lara tells how she was dragged into the area where women and children had been camped out, protesting, and who ultimately saved her. That was in the Daily Mail News. And here's another quote. "I landed into the lap of a woman. I was naked and hysterical, and some boys stood between the men and this Egyptian woman. People threw clothing at me. It was amazing I could feel so humiliated while so close to death. The moment that I thought I was lost was when I lost Ray, a colleague. But I realized later he went to force the Egyptian army to look for me." End of quote. That came from Newsweek. At one point during the ordeal, she was strengthened by the thought of her children at home. It was CBS who allowed her to be surrounded by these Muslim men, and they didn't expect her to live. And she knows that they allowed this to occur. When she was running to escape, some of the men running with her were among those who raped her. It was a well thought out trap. She knows who did not show up for her, and because of that she is more fixed and determined than ever. She knows who they are. she still speaks truth, and with even greater conviction. She's a true visionary and overcomer with that spirit of stoicism. As long as the story went their way, CBS loved her. It improved their ratings. But when they found stories that they didn't want exposed, they did everything they could to destroy her. They believed she would not survive the rape, and then, when she survived, they expected her to knuckle under. Instead, she became stronger. Many other truthers have not been so lucky. Today they have more sophisticated weapons that can take you out from a distance. Then it appears that you died of a heart attack or an accident, and often there are no outward signs of foul play. And if there are obvious signs, the system doesn't take the time to explain them. In an interview with Craig Ferguson in 2005, Laura Logan talked about going into dangerous situations and how it strengthens you when you survive them. You cannot fake the courage that this journalist has. She has experienced many dangerous situations and knows she can come through and even thrive. Here is an empath who was horrifically abused and was able to come through and be impersonal about it. Here is someone who took the high road. She became an adult, and her impersonal handling of the situation, a quality of the loving father archetype with no trace of the blame-shame game, is exemplary. She experienced severe trauma, a physical and emotional earthquake, and came away with a far greater discernment and determination than she had before. This made her even more of a threat to the mainstream media. Here we have two profiles. One is someone who represents evil, H.G. Tudor, and one who represents the best of humanity, Lara Logan. One is an aggressive archetype representing an aggressive, unloved boy-child. The other is someone who has proven that she can rise from devastating betrayal, be adult about it, and continue to represent truth. I admire her and understand that if we are critical and negative towards these conscienceless ones, we're actually empowering them. Lara did not resort to levels of victimhood, and so she didn't empower them to determine who she was. And as a result of my seeing this, I'm working very hard on having what I am doing, which is merely describing what they are doing and who they are, and it will be difficult to not have it come off as criticism. And these ones like Tudor, regardless of whatever it is I say, if it is not of the ideation that they want you to have of them, then to them it is criticism. Processing of unloved girl-child is needed to really and truly not judge those who are committed to evil. It doesn't resolve the problem. The unloved girl-child martyr victimology is merely the sympathetic perversion of loved girl-child's compassion and empathy. The loved girl-child's compassion and empathy is converted to victimology and sympathy by early childhood family dynamics that sees compassion and empathy as a weakness and consequently a stupidity, according to Brian Emanuel Gray. A stupidity that must be crushed out of the individual to make the family feel safe. It is the global narcissists, that is, the Nephilim and the Watchers, that control world government and the economy. They divide people into different camps to fight each other, known as the divide and conquer tactic. They milk society while claiming they are working for the good of people. They have perverted political and economic systems. One of the groups that these people work through is the Illuminati. The Illuminati was set up in Bavaria on May the 1st, 1776, by Johann Adam Weishaupt. One has to wonder if this was in opposition to the signing of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th of that same year. These ones operate behind the scenes and search for the young and brilliant members of society, both their own kind and the children of God, to join their ranks in all of their various businesses. They flatter the young recruits, appealing to their pride. They tell them that they will be a part of an elite team, suggesting that the masses are not capable of ruling themselves. Tudor himself expressed this same idea. All of this is mind control, so that the light bearer becomes compliant and doesn't develop a will of their own. It works well for the Illuminati because most of the decision making is done at the inner core level and is not available to outer members. So the child of God is not aware of who they are working for. Society too is deprived of their God-given right to rule themselves. The movement is to centralize power through seemingly diametrically opposed positions. A monopolistic big business in bed with communist governments, and the individuals gradually loses all of their rights and opportunities to participate in alignment with their conscience. We see with Lara Logan that despite hardship, she had the strength to follow her convictions. It is a rare example of raw courage. Many of those with a conscience, when they do realize that they are trapped in an evil system, are too entrenched, with salaries, status, and pensions, and a family to support. And it is difficult to break away from all of that. What we see in leadership today is the unloved boy-child archetype as aggressive boy-child, paired with an unloved girl-child archetype who represents the victim, the compliant one. As these are child archetypes, they tend to go to the extreme. People are kept distracted by one traumatic event after another, to keep us busy so we are not focused on the deeper problem and working on a solution. The deeper problem is that we have two types of fallen angels on the planet representing Gog and Magog. These are intergalactic fallen angels who are at war with each other and only come together to fight the children of God. The two types of fallen angels are the Nephilim and the Nophilim, with the Anunnaki being of the Nephilim group. They direct their hatred first at the offspring of God. Their hatred is so entrenched that they are willing to blow up the planet to get their revenge. Russell Brand, in his response to the movie Oppenheimer, talks about one of the most important reasons for the existence of nuclear weapons is the profit it yields to the American nuclear industrial complex. Research and production of nuclear warheads, nuclear-armed bombers, missiles, and submarines is a thriving business. Russell quoted a nuclear expert, Stephen Schwartz, who estimated that the Manhattan Project cost nearly $38 billion and has since cost the taxpayers $12 trillion, so with a T, for nuclear weapons and related programs. In the next decade, it is estimated that $756 billion will go into these deadly armaments. Brand commented that, quote, "You need a compliant population to be able to maintain that funding," end of quote. So here we see entrenched evil at work. And one of the first solutions is the loved girl child, who represents the Holy Spirit. She serves as a stepping stone to spirit, and we do have to turn to God for a solution. Human solutions are not effective against this level of evil. True free trade has the flow of the Holy Spirit, where the purchaser holds product quality in check when production is local or national. Today, we have controlled trade, with substandard products to choose from, mostly made in China. This benefits the corporations of the Illuminati and their transnational corporations. National sovereignty and individual freedom is compromised. Sometimes it seems like an insurmountable problem, but ultimately, anything outside of God is an illusion. Yet, one must always remember that the temporary nature of the fallen angel-generated consensual reality can have you suffer immeasurably within that illusion. It is why we must connect to God and bring forth a reality that is based on His will, not the will of some fallen parasite. There is no point in criticizing the other side, as then you know that you have something within you that gets you to react to what is going on out there. Plus, the reaction of criticism gives them, quote-unquote, fuel and a right to destroy you. We want to look at what is within, change that through tuning into our own conscience and to the still small voice that can guide us. God reality is real, and we can pull our attention away from the awfulness or seeming injustices and turn within to course correct. In the book Why We Do What We Do, 4 Pathways to Your Authentic Self by Caroline Hansky and Brian Emanuel Gray, the loved girl-child archetype cares for all people, especially those in need, and seeks to finish each interaction with finesse. Like Mother Teresa, who had a strong loved girl-child archetype, she cared for the unwanted on the streets of Calcutta. The girl-child trusts and believes in a greater plan. She forgives easily, is authentic and real. We have to acknowledge and process girl-child's pain in order to embrace our loved girl-child. She gives us a way out of the negative frequencies to the positive and uplifting frequencies. She is our creative source, and she can humbly turn to Father, Mother, God for inspiration and help. The loved girl-child is often looked down on in society, but has a magic and strength when she is embraced. A wonderful contemporary example of this is the author Whitney Webb. And now we come to the conclusion. The state becomes the mechanical God who is to be obeyed and never questioned, as we saw in the reading with Tudor and his intimate other. And though it seems intimidating as we realize how dangerous it is to take a stand, we really do not have any other option. We want to realize that we have an identity that cannot be defined by the high-functioning narcissists of this world, because they do not understand the reality of our softer side that is connected to the Holy Spirit. That is the girl-child archetype. We have to look out for our own soul, who represents the feminine aspect. The soul can become immortal by uniting with the Christ self, which is the male aspect. Putting on the Christ anchors that positive loved boy-child side of oneself, giving us a greater balance. Then, like Jesus, who became the Christ physically manifest, there is a oneness with the Father in heaven. Once you surrender to the authority of the Christ within, there is a responsibility to follow the law of the Father as Jesus exemplified for us. In Matthew 4:19, Jesus said, quote-unquote, "Come, follow me." We have to let go of our sophistication and the carnal mind within that was created through our interactions with the fallen ones. Jesus showed us the way. We can learn to trust this path. And though it may be a long and arduous one, every step takes you closer, whereas every compromise with evil takes you further and further away from who you really are. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time with the next chapter. Thank you.